Hi, and welcome to the show.
Welcome, all you coffee drinkers and movie watchers. This is Cup of Joe and a Show, and we are with Kenny, the Texas Ranger himself, Macho Man Carl Weathers Kramer.
You're darn right.
We got Nick with 2 or 3 men in the jungle, Shirk. And then we got Jared. If it bleeds, you can kill it, but you don't want to do it, Walker.
Pacifist style.
And I am Jim, blanking with my name, Master. How's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good, Jim. That was a good intro.
That was a good second time. That was better than the first time.
Yeah, you guys will never hear the first one.
Yeah. Nope.
Maybe,
Maybe
but
we can make a Patreon.
probably not.
Maybe if you guys want to cancel Jim Master, we'll do that.
There you go, yeah.
Hashtag cancel the Master.
Jim, you want to tell them what we're doing today?
We're drinking coffee and talking about the movie we just watched,
We
Predator,
actually have coffee this time.
with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger.
We all have to give our best impersonations of Arnold
No,
Schwarzenegger?
Jared's got a whole new format for us.
Oh, Jared.
I do? I don't remember this.
You didn't like how we did it last time.
yeah. I mean, it was fine, but like, we should go by the beginning of the movie and just continue instead of like jumping from point to point.
Yeah.
So should we give a summary of it then?
Sure.
Okay.
Who's qualified?
Nick and Kenny, the two people that have not seen this movie
yeah,
yet.
first viewers.
First time viewers, second time talkers. Tell us what you thought of the movie. Like,
Immediate reactions.
Immediate reactions?
Yeah.
Like-
It's a solid 7 out of 10 80s action movie. Like,
That's fair.
I wouldn't watch it again. It was even some of the like gore was a bit much for me. Like I'm like, I don't really like that. But to watch it and say that I've watched a classic Arnold movie, that's good. It's fun. It holds up.
Kenny?
I would give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. The gory scenes I didn't have a problem with, but you could tell it was
It was dated.
very dated.
It was dated.
And,
But for the time, I assume it was probably like super realistic.
oh, well, top of the line.
And the camouflage was pretty dated.
I have to say, I don't know if we're gonna get to this, but one of my favorite parts of the movie is the alien in camouflage.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. It always reminds me of the Halo camouflage.
Oh yeah.
Because you're like, you can see them on the map and everything.
Right.
And yeah.
Right.
It's like camouflage, but not really.
But yeah. I mean, I think that's my initial take. I don't want to go too deep because I know we want to like go further with it, so I'm
Yeah.
just gonna leave it at that. But yeah, so I mean, I guess we start from the top. Movie starts off. I mean, they're just kind of macho man helicoptering into some.
Well, you got to start with Dutch getting off the helicopter and the iconic meme of Dylan, you son of a.
Clasping hands.
You got to get the clasping hands meme. I know
And
where
then
that
the-
meme comes from now.
Then
so that's fine.
the arm wrestling in the air without the table kind of a bit.
That was interesting. That was interesting.
Yeah,
I loved
shows the
how the
power.
general in this movie served like no purpose. Like he was obviously like an important figure when you like first meet him, but then after that he's just like pointless.
But then
Like-
you find out that there was some trickery going around, so he was probably just a pawn in the whole thing anyway.
right. Which is one of the only movies I've seen where the upper brass is the one that are being tricked, rather than like the upper brass like tricking the lower men on the totem pole, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, starts off. I wanted him to play a fortunate son, to be perfectly honest. When they were helicoptering in, I thought that would have been the perfect time. But the opening sequence after that, when they're like all flying into the helicopter, the dialogue in there was rough.
All the Marines kind of spitballing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But I can only assume that that's like how it really would be.
It might be. I don't know. The only part that I drew issue with in that scene was the Hawkins part. Like his jokes are just his dialogue's so
Shane
bad.
Black, yeah.
Shane
So
Black,
bad.
the actor who is now, he came in and rewrote some of the script to punch it up. The original writers did not like that he did that, but the studio really wanted him to do this, and that's why you get some of those kind of riskier jokes.
That's what
I
happens
wasn't
when
a
the
fan of the riskier
studio.
jokes. They felt very unnecessary, and he just
Right.
felt like an awkward character. Which you can have awkward characters.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it just because it's iconic jokes. Like you tell that joke to somebody and you're gonna say, "Oh, that's from that movie."
I mean, if I heard it now, I would know. If not, I'd just be like, don't
Yeah, I
that
don't
joke
remember
to me.
any of those jokes now. It's been what, a half hour since the movie?
Right, yeah. I mean, it's not bad. The dialogue throughout the whole movie is very action movie-esque.
Sure.
Which, of course, I mean,
There's a lot of
80s movie. You know, you've got
One-liners.
The one I have to admit, I enjoyed
Stick
Arnold's
around.
one-liners. You know, get to the chopper, all that stuff. I liked his one-liners. His dialogue's fine. It's just some of the supporting cast's lines were
Right.
a bit rough. But I mean, that's a script writing thing, not a
And that's the 80s. I mean,
exactly 80s action. I totally expected. Like I went into it almost expecting there to be
Right.
iffy dialogue, and I wasn't disappointed by that fact. So
And some of the dialogue isn't really like a problem because
they're going to be dead soon anyway.
that, but also like before this movie, all of
Don't spoil
the
it, Jim.
actors
The
playing
film is in the 80s. If they haven't seen it by now, then they're not you guys.
we're totally a spoiler podcast, so it's okay.
all the actors playing the Marines.
warning.
went-
that note,
They went to like training to have actual military training.
Miracle with Kurt Russell, this
And they have
no,
the
stay on the movie, stay on the
hand
movie.
gestures and stuff, and
Right,
the lingo. Those are actually real like things that you can like in military stuff. They're more acting in physical than they are dialogue.
I'm gonna be honest. It felt a lot more like a war movie than it did a horror movie.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's the idea that they thought they were going into in the beginning anyway.
Because it's kind of in a Cold War scenario anyway,
Right.
because they're talking about meeting up with the
I guess we
Ruskies.
should continue on with the podcast. Well, not the podcast. the plot. The
Wow.
Yeah, hit record, Nick. Hit record.
Yeah.
Take 3.
So we're flying over the jungle. They get dropped down. I have to say, the whole where they're like navigating the jungle, I expected death way sooner from the initial characters. I was pleasantly surprised. that
Yeah.
they didn't just like drop down and like 30 seconds in, like, oh, he's gone. Where'd he go?
Right.
That was pleasant.
Well, you got to build up the tension, and you have to build up
Right.
the characters
Right.
themselves. Because if Shane Black's character just dies, and it's like, well,
I think-
good, he told a couple bad liners. I mean, I still kind of felt that when he did eventually die.
Yeah, I
but-
didn't have a problem with him dying.
No, neither did I.
yeah.
You tell bad jokes, you get axed. Oh man, I'm gonna die
What
as
they
soon as I step out of this place.
what they say about karma.
Yeah.
But so I mean, we step down. They're going to the jungle at this point, just kind of
Right. They find
Tracking.
tracks, and
Yeah.
they find
I have
the
to
other
say-
army people that came in before
yes.
them.
Yep, the
Jim Hopper.
Hopper.
Yep.
There we go. But see, my issue with that spot was they didn't introduce Billy enough for me to know what was going on. Like, it'd been cool if they like somehow. I don't know what they could have done, but I was just kind of lost with his character for a bit because I was like
Now explain who's Billy again.
Billy's,
the Native American
yeah.
guy. Like,
Oh,
the guy
yeah,
in
yeah,
Cracker.
yeah, yeah,
I
okay,
didn't
yeah.
know why he was leading. Like, I didn't realize he was specialized in that. Like,
Right,
I
because they
wish they
kind of
would've
all
done
have
something
different. Because Hawkins is the heavy guy because he's got the Gatling gun.
No, that's Blaine.
Oh well, no, Ventura's character.
Yeah, Blaine.
Oh, that's Blaine. See, I'm already mixing up the names. Ventura's character, he's the heavy guy because he has the Gatling gun, and then you got the Native American guy, Billy, who's the tracker.
right. And again, I
Which
don't
is
know
that
what-
stereotypical now?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, to be honest,
But
like
that
they are good trackers.
Trackers.
Like that's just a fact. Like they're better with
For sure.
nature and stuff like that. Like I couldn't go out and do what he did. So, but anyways,
Yeah,
I just
our
wish they would have
platoon
set the
be
characters
lost.
up a bit better. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, it'd been cool to see like almost like a montage.
Yeah.
Not even a montage, just like a scene in the opening
Well, that
where they
was
were kind of grabbing equipment and
Or where like Carl Weathers' character was like, "Oh, we got the best of the best because this guy can track people, and then this guy is."
and I don't even. It didn't need to
Right.
be like super stereotypical. Like, and it's not. I'm not disappointed in the movie that it didn't do it, but
Yeah.
it's just like I was a little. It was just confusing a little bit to like why is he leading? Like he is the best, or
And here's another question: is it a little bit overkill to have a Gatling gun for a simple rescue mission?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Because they're going there for seemingly a rescue mission for a couple diplomats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you wouldn't bring a. I would think you wouldn't bring a Gatling gun.
But
I'm
of
not-
course,
I'm
it
not
is Cold
disagreeing.
War era.
these people are the most macho.
True.
True,
'Cause
they are
the whole
best
point
rescue
is to
group.
show
Sure.
that even the most manly man, prepared man, can still get taken out just like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The overarching theme of the movie.
Back
Neat.
to the point you were saying about wishing that there was a scene of them describing their characters. That's kind of what the helicopter ride in with Billy being silent, you kind of get that he's a loner type thing.
Yeah, but it didn't set anything up for me. Like, it just got some bad dialogue out of the way. And then...
Yeah, the running joke that we can't say on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And-
kind of with Nick. Like the whole helicopter scene just kind of felt like so filler.
I can
Really?
see why it's iconic, and not that a movie can't have filler scenes. Obviously, it needs filler scenes. I'm not saying that the filler scene is bad. Like I didn't mind the helicopter scene. I just wish that it did more.
And the way you see it could be different from the way I see it, and that's an opinion type thing. That's a views type.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I definitely saw that as them exposing their characters. Like Blaine would be, he's chewing the tobacco, and he's just he doesn't care. Feels like he's on top of the world.
One, he doesn't care about authority either because he spits the tobacco on Carl Weathers' shoe,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of shows the relationship that Carl Weathers has.
Because he's the outsider.
Well, he's
Everybody else is
the
part of the
outsider.
original
He
team.
used to be kind of like that in the bush kind of soldier, but now he's stepped back. He's got a tie on.
He works for the CIA.
He works for the
pushes too many
CIA.
pencils.
Right.
Yes.
So it kind of shows that type of authority because you have Carl Weathers and you have obviously Schwarzenegger and his team, and everybody looks down on the Carl Weathers character, and that's where the tobacco comes into play. And with that show of machismo, you would think that Carl Weathers would like step up and like punch Ventura or use something other than that's a
I
nasty
really
habit.
thought that's what they were going to do.
Right.
Like, yeah, his deliverance on that.
But
I
it
thought-
shows how weak Carl Weathers' character
That
is.
is
though.
true. It is true. And maybe with the
Even
second
though
film-
he looks like he's a
I mean, yeah, he
beefcake.
does like pretty come. I don't know if he comes close to beating Arnold, but he
You can tell that he's still.
he's got some muscle,
Right.
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Right.
He's macho.
he's confident enough to take off his shirt in the middle of the jungle and
yes,
go.
and lift a
Let's
tree.
let's
trunk.
yeah let's live the tree trunk.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, maybe on a second take too, I could appreciate more of those scenes because I mean, like I said, it is literally the first time I've seen the movie. So
Right.
to initial take, it felt like a filler scene that just didn't play out like it should have for me. But on a second take, I can see why it would maybe develop characters more
Or at
than I
least
thought.
have a briefing of the mission parameters.
I thought it was strange because I feel like if they were to do that now, they would probably do some sort of brief or something.
Right.
But
but-
is that too exposition dumpy, or is that just like?
Well, you could have the exposition dumpy with the characters acting in their roles. You could be like, okay, when we land, Billy's gonna, track whatever, or you're gonna have if there's enemies, Blaine lay suppressive fire, something along those lines.
Yeah,
or-
could okay. So let's move further into the plot.
Yeah, let's
Come
get-
back
yeah,
to
let's-
my-
yeah.
I'll move back to my spot. So we're walking through the jungle. We find the dead bodies. That was supposed to be the grossest scene of the movie, and I actually thought it was one of the tamer scenes of the movie. I mean, there are literally exposed muscles. I mean, obviously fake, but that's what it's supposed to be. It wasn't that gruesome to me. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. I think it builds a lot of tension in the fact that it helps them like really want to find these gorillas, and I really actually liked the gorilla fight scene. I thought it was really cool to see them all like do their own. And see, then when they did that gorilla fight scene, I thought it also developed the characters a lot because then you saw like the groups they went off in, what they were good at.
pairings.
Like the two of them saw the trip mine, and they were like, "Oh, okay, like we'll take that out."
They're gonna
And
cut it. You could definitely tell they were a team for a long time.
Mhm. Yeah, they like you could tell that they were experienced, they were good at what they were doing, and you could tell a bit more of their specializations than just when they were walking the jungle. And I appreciated that for what it was. But so we go through there. I don't know if anyone has comments, just stop me. But I'm just kind of going through the plot here. We're at the gorilla fight scene, and like I said, I appreciate the action. It was a good build up to kind of fight off that first enemy, and then only to find the second enemy, right?
It was cool to see Arnold lift up that entire truck and then just let it go.
That was pretty sick. He's definitely in his buff age at that spot. Like,
Well-
he's in the prime.
And that
Kind of
also,
like-
like you said, it shows the characters. You see, all them that lay suppressive fire and just like tear everybody up with gunfire. And Arnold's there, and he utilizes his environment around him, which is what he does against the Predator later on in the film. So.
Right. I didn't think about that. That's
Yeah.
good foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone
But
kinda does.
is it kind of weird that they're originally supposed to get some diplomats, right, and secure them?
Yeah.
They didn't like secure him before they started opening up fire and
Well, they were
blowing
all
things
killed.
up. He only saw the one get shot though.
There
That's
was
true.
one other. So it
Right,
would
so it's
probably be a bit
like-
strange to shoot that much.
It would be
but-
weird to like set a bomb in a truck and then let it go off into the mess hall. Like
But-
for all we know, the guy's there.
Right, and to be fair,
Right.
They
the
already
guy
killed
that
one of them. You're gonna
Sure,
want to save
like-
the guy as fast as you can.
Right, 1 out of 2 ain't bad.
and
but-
Yeah.
honestly, the guy that they shot didn't look like a diplomat, and it turns out they're not diplomats in the end.
But then who was he?
Well,
Was he-
it was all a trick by Carl Weathers' character.
No, but who was the guy that they shot though?
I
it
think
was
he's
just
part of
some guy.
the one guy's team.
The original unit,
Yeah,
Hopper's
probably.
unit.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's what I assumed because there's like the 3 bodies they didn't see and then 3 that they found. And
Right.
And then
I
the-
thought what it was there was like 2 maybe there and 1.
Well, Billy was also talking about there were 2 tracks of U.S. issued boots.
3 I thought there were 3 tracks of those, and then there were the 12 gorillas.
So that's where
I know,
the
there
hostages
was-
would
there
have
was
been.
something, and that's
Yeah.
what it was probably the girl.
maybe they didn't.
Maybe.
The girl was strange because she
She'd
just
just
all of
be
a sudden
there.
just like goes to like smack him, and he like full on just like knocks her out,
Mm-hmm.
and then he like regrets what he does. But that felt like a very forced character. Now I understand why she's important to the plot because she does like provide a little bit more
Exposition.
insight into the monster eventually. But so
But
you know,
only after
the-
she sees it the first time.
right, exactly. And well, then she does talk about her people.
She does talk about her
her
people, and
But anyways, the fight scene in that I thought was good for what it was. I didn't mind it. I thought it was a classic action, explosions going off. What you'd expect from an Arnold
Right.
action movie.
Slaughterfest.
Right.
And it really sets the fact that they are it's the tone of, like I said earlier, you're so macho and so over the top and you're the best of the best that even the best of the best get knocked down easy by this other threat.
Yeah. Well, even on top of that, like it shows you their qualifications to fight something,
Yes.
right? Like it
Yes.
shows you like, okay, if anyone can take out this thing in the jungle, it should be them. Now, at this point, once they leave and they're starting to go to the
Choppa.
Choppa, right? They're starting to go back to the border or whatever they're in. They never really talk about what country they're in, are they?
No,
Somewhere in
it's
South America.
just generic South America forest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, whatever. It's not a big deal. But,
Right.
they're going here, and this is where we see the first glimpse. Well, it's not the first glimpse, I guess, but it's like the real
The
main.
first time they notice something's
Right.
different because Billy
Right.
gets scared.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yes.
I loved Billy's scene where he's just out in the middle of that exposed, like,
Just staring
Jungle.
off into the trees, and
No.
Arnold walks up and just he has to really shake him to get his attention because you can tell he's not a scared type. He's like,
no, he's like, I would honestly argue he's one of the more macho men on the
Yeah,
unit
yeah,
in terms of just like
100%.
composure, like
Right.
and all that. Like, obviously, people may have bigger muscles or whatever, but I feel like he's like the
he
man
doesn't.
of
I
man.
feel like
right?
he doesn't have a weakness. He's the only person on the team that doesn't have a weakness.
I could see that.
Like Blaine's weakness is his vainness of him being the best of the best, and then Mac's weakness is Blaine, his best friend.
Mhm.
Carl Weathers' weakness is like he's prepared, but he's not really in it anymore.
He's not ready for ground combat like
Yeah.
he was when Arnold knew him before, or Dutch, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah,
But
Hawkins is just it's kind of silly. Once you find out the real out of universe reason why he's in the movie, it's kind of stupid. And Pancho is kind of just there to like translate. So
Yeah, which doesn't make sense because the lady knows how to speak English anyway. So
But
once
they didn't know
Pancho,
that- they didn't know that until after he
after
was already
Pancho's
gone.
dead, yeah, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I speak English.
right after the
I have always spoken English, but I wanted to make you feel like dumb Americans, so I'll, not speak English."
right. But I mean, so like we're running through the jungle. I mean, you can sense this part of the movie, to me at least. Now everyone chime in, but I thought that you sensed like the desperation in this part of the movie. Like, we have to get out of here because we're surrounded. And then even
And
as
they
it
think
progresses,
the gorillas are there. They think they're
Picking them off.
Yeah.
right. And then even when you get, because Carl Weathers, how many times did he say it's one or two guys or
Two or three guys in the jungle.
It's got to be that. And then they finally like realize like this thing is not like this is not a human doing this.
And they
Right.
realized that what happened to Jim Hopper and the rest of the people that were flayed up there, not the gorillas.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if we explained the plot well enough, but they're running through the jungle trying to get to the
Basically, there's an
scale
extraterrestrial hunter that likes to the sport of hunting and
The
wants to seek the
predator,
best
right?
of the
I mean, he
best.
is the predator.
Right.
And It actually makes me think of now when I think about it is it's very much like the Werewolf by Night or what was it? The Halloween.
I think that's what it's called.
Is it Werewolf by Night?
Something
the
like
Halloween
that.
special.
I didn't see it yet.
Okay, well the Halloween Marvel special.
Yeah.
Werewolf, whatever.
I didn't like that one.
That it had where he turns into a werewolf. That like sense that he has, and it like shows the first person. It reminds me a lot of the Predator. Now that I
Sure.
think about it. But anyways, I appreciated that they didn't like do this like X-ray vision, but they did this like heat thing,
It's
which
heat
I thought
vision,
was
yeah.
really cool because I would have never thought of that.
Right.
For like a monster, but
Well, and if you notice, they do talk about the temperatures of the jungle. Like the one lady was talking about the fact that when it's hot outside, that's when the hunter comes out.
yeah, it's like only during the hot.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, she
Right.
said that. Yeah.
Because the in-universe reason for the Predator being there is it's a rite of passage or whatever. So they drop them off at a planet to hunt,
Right.
and then after they're done with their hunt, they come back, and that's their like rite of passage.
Right.
I know in this movie, I think the Predator is very experienced, unlike the ones in the sequel, Predator 2, or even in the newest one, Prey. They're kind of new to the job. They're not really that advanced. But
Okay.
this one, you could tell he's seen some stuff. But in universe, that's what they do. They
Well-
drop them off and then pick them up later.
And then the second one too, it's the hottest on record in LA or something like
Yeah.
that too. So I mean, it makes
And there's
sense.
all the drug stuff going on, so everyone
Right.
is a little-
Yeah, that's why I like the second one better. It's
Okay. But yeah, so we lose Hawkins. He gets
Yep.
killed, and the lady is like traumatized, which I thought was so cool. She
Oh,
was such a
wouldn't you
good-
be
Well,
traumatized?
I'm
if the
getting to a
woods
point
come
is that-
alive.
yeah, like she's so freaked out by this, but it's interesting because her people know about this, so you would think that like even if she were to like see it, she'd recognize it, but it almost just is like so.
Well, they probably just know about the story,
the
and
legends,
not what
yeah.
it really is.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
because seeing is being told a myth is one thing. Seeing it.
Yeah.
But she did sell her part. I was fully convinced that she was terrible.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
100%.
her acting was solid.
Yeah.
But so she freaks out. They go looking for him, find some guts. I don't really know
bits
what
and
that-
pieces.
yeah, bits and pieces, whatever.
He in universe he has like a net that he can do, and it like cubes up the person. So he might have used that. And there's
Yeah,
a ton of other
the
tools
weapons
that they
and
have in their universe
techniques later
that you can
on.
just, like they made later on in the stories that you can just be like, yeah, that's what he used.
Oh,
But
got
you see Hawkins' glasses, kind of like if you really really look, his glasses are there, so that's how Pancho knows
okay.
that it's him, but he can't tell because
For people who haven't seen it, it's literally like a pile of entrails
Right.
Yeah.
and like organs.
Later on in the series, the Predators become wicked froth players.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
frisbee
The
golf.
next guy to die. Also, props to who's the director of this movie?
John McTiernan, who also directed Die Hard.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Oh.
Okay.
So-
Coincidentally,
Very-
the Predator is
John McClane.
John-
dying hard.
Facts. I thought you were gonna say it's John McClane. I
No,
would have went for that.
the Predator's like, have a few laughs.
The same thing happened to the same guy twice.
He they do a good job of not being the stereotypical kill off the minorities at first, and I somewhat actually appreciated that from an 80s movie because I was fully expecting the two black characters in the movie to die immediately, if not maybe second death. But they do a good job of actually waiting out. They kill like the real useless guy who like really never serves a part in the whole thing. And then now where we're at in the plot is the big macho man dies. And they're finally like, oh my gosh, this thing is like for real. Because when the other guy dies, you're like, okay,
It's okay, but this
this
guy
wasn't the biggest dude. Like you expect even if a gorilla guy fought him, he wouldn't win.
Yeah,
But then,
the biggest guy.
like the biggest dude there. Probably, I would say he almost probably rivals, if not bigger, than Arnold in the
Yeah.
movie. And
he just gets his chest exploded right through the MTV shirt, like
yes.
exposed.
Yeah. And so, but you didn't see it.
His
which I
heart laid
appreciate.
out to bear for everyone to see.
But that was interesting, and then it sets up the whole Max story of him just like going crazy, and I loved his like creepiness throughout the movie, where he's just like even further on when we move further through the plot, we get to the whole like when he's in the bush and he's like, "Hey, I'm here," or something. Like,
Right.
You know, like that was
see him through the trees.
Yeah, he's just so creepy in his mannerisms, and like there's a scene later on we'll get to where he's like shaving just nothing, and it's like you know at that point he's fully lost it.
Well, but he did that prior in the film too. He just kept doing that was his ritual. He would just keep shaving.
Yeah, I think he did that in the helicopter.
And you see when he snaps when the shaver snaps.
right
When he cuts himself.
Right.
Well, he also did that to Carl Withers' character too with the knife. He's like, turn around.
Yeah.
And then,
right. He's just
He's
Carl
always
Weathers thought he was
been
gonna
kind of
die,
a creepy
right?
character.
But he's very calm until Blaine goes, and then he starts, and you can tell they were best friends. They were like probably the closest on the team outside of Dutch and Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
He does regain that creepiness right at the end though, when he's like, I can see him through the trees.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking like, why wouldn't you shoot him? Like maybe the distance. I mean, you can
And the
always,
Well, the guns that they had were those like shorter
right. If you had the Gatling gun.
MP5s or whatever there are.
I think it was an MP5.
Semi, submachine gun or something like that.
And
Trying
they-
to shoot it from that distance, it would just be a
And
spray.
they were in a tree trunk kind of thing. If the recoil, they would like slam your head up against
Right.
the
Plus,
thing
you'd be
and-
revealing your position and
if you missed.
right,
then you're
which
just
you would
stuck.
miss at that distance. I mean,
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, that's true. But anyways, so this is where he
So
kind of
Blaine dies.
Blaine dies.
Blaine
Max
dies.
basically snaps at that spot. Not
Yeah.
fully, like he's not fully gone until I.
but he's like muttering to himself as he's climbing the wall of the forest up there to get
Well,
to
and
the.
they start destroying the
Yeah.
tree line.
Yeah.
And he like holds the gun way after too. Like everyone knows the barrel's empty. And it's just
Yeah.
sitting there rotating still.
And they
and
look
finally-
That was
They
cool.
look at him until he finally
Right.
comes and-
right. Yeah. So I thought
Crazy.
that was cool. It's a great like transition from these macho man squad. Like we don't lose men. We don't do this. And like now you have 2 men dead.
We don't have time to bleed.
Exactly. Right. Like the other guy, he's like, I don't got time to bleed, and he wraps his arm up and stuff. And like these like absolute just like tanks, and they're like transitioning to these like weak men now. And I thought that was a good way. I did enjoy them annihilating the forest. That was a hilarious scene to me because they're just mowing down nothing, thinking they're killing everything.
Right. Yeah. R.I.P. trees.
Facts.
Yes.
Facts.
So then they
Hardcore
start-
lumberjacks.
after
Taking
they
down
shoot through the
trees.
trees and stuff, they're studying the wounds on Blaine, and they realize that it's fully cauterized all the way through. So this is where you finally start to get to the point where you're like, this is if you didn't know it was an alien movie.
Right, because at that point they hadn't actually seen the camouflage
Yeah,
yet.
you hadn't like really.
I mean, if you
figured it
did see
out.
him, he died.
Right.
And this is when you get to the tropes for Carl Weathers' character. Oh, it's nothing. Oh, there must
Just
be a
2 or 3
logical
men in the jungle.
Yeah, there must be a logical explanation. He doesn't. Everyone else starts to believe it immediately.
Right.
Well, and we also forgot that Max sees him.
He does.
Mac totally sees the predator. He's the second person now to see it outside of the girl who, I guess see it and
But
survive.
I don't think Mac wasn't there when they.
No, Mac
firing.
wasn't there when Blaine bit the dust. I mean, he saw Blaine bit the dust.
Yeah, but they didn't. When Arnold.
He saw
and
the beam.
And Carl Weathers were
Right.
studying the body.
Right,
Mac
because
goes out
Mac took off, and then
Yeah,
they're like,
but
"We got to
doesn't
get
he-
to the chopper."
Before this, when Blaine dies, doesn't he look up from Blaine and he sees him and he starts shooting? And
Well,
that's why runs and
he
grabs the
sees
Gatling
he
gun?
sees the movement, and he fires in the direction of where it was at. Yeah.
I think he sees the invisible camouflage. He doesn't
Yeah.
see the actual
Right.
until later.
Well, no, not the.
Yeah.
I'm talking. He sees him though,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah,
in the
yeah.
jungle.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but anyway, so then they do this whole like. Is it no? Is this where they're transitioning into the like montage scene of them trying to set up a trap?
No, because you have Carl Weathers going after Blaine's character.
No, Blaine's already dead.
No, I'm getting the characters mixed up together. Mac, sorry, Mac.
No, that's close to the end.
That is closer to the end. We just watched this like a half an hour ago.
They-
People wouldn't
Well,
believe
so
it.
they've
So
Oh,
they
yeah,
start-
yeah,
they
never
start-
mind.
They start building the
the traps.
Ewok.
This is
trap.
the montage, right?
Yeah.
'Cause He
Right.
tells him to set up a.
They've
trap.
ran out of all ammo, so they have to resort to
Right.
using Mother Nature.
They set
Yes.
up that claymore, and then the
Which is
claymore goes off. in the night.
Convenient because they just chopped down half a forest. They have plenty
Right.
of wood to work with.
Of course. But then they set up that claymore, and in the night, they're freaking out,
Right.
and then it like goes
Oh,
off.
the
They
it was
kill
the
the
boar.
hog, yeah,
Yeah,
or boar,
the wild
yeah.
boar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's like stabbing the crap out of
Right.
the thing. That's a was an intense scene from him. Just like the light flashing, just the knife up and down. Like that was a great.
Which that's like one of the only wild animals you see in this movie. You got the scorpion, you got the boar.
There's like a
There,
ferret.
there
or
was a
something.
skunk.
There's
a
ferret,
skunk or whatever.
Skunk or ferret.
Yeah, something
You
like
see
that.
a vulture. I guess you see a vulture too at the beginning. They kick the
Yeah.
vulture.
Yeah.
See, I always liked it when they would like go to the predator view of like
Oh,
this
yeah.
heat view.
Yeah.
And,
And
the
then
sound
it's,
effects.
and especially the sound effects too, but it was like
Yeah.
the scene where Mac just actually just like rips into that boar. You see the predator view first,
Yeah.
and it's like, and then you hear the movement. You're like, oh crap, someone's gonna get wrecked.
Yeah,
And
which
then-
I thought.
And then it's like they cut to Mac fighting something. You don't know what it is until they actually look at it. And it's like, oh, it's
Yeah.
just a wild boar. You're like, holy crap.
But then it's creepy because then the body disappears. Blaine's
Yeah.
body disappears because they grab Blaine's body.
Yeah,
right,
'cause it was- yeah.
right.
And that was like I'm like that's weird. Like why take a dead body? But then you learn later on that he just likes to hang things.
He
in the
likes to
woods.
rip out the spinal.
So yeah, I
columns.
always liked it when they would you would hear movement, and then a ferret walks out from
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
that
brush.
like that
Yeah.
total like tension like snap
Break.
second. Yeah,
Right, and then it's like, oh, it's just a ferret.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. One of my favorite things about the movie, like we'll go into it probably later on, but I love the heat vision. That's just Rick
It
Moranis.
was a nice technique for it.
Mhm.
And then you see the vision of the predator without the heat vision.
Yes,
And
Kinda
you can
reminds
tell
me
why
of-
he's using the mask.
It reminds me of Daredevil's heat vision.
it does actually.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But then we go through the whole montage scene of the trap after this. I think.
Yeah, they catch him in the
Yeah.
net, and then he immediately breaks out of the net.
Right.
And the log that they had set up to smack him, he breaks it, and it hits Poncho. And
Yeah.
sends him flying. He breaks almost every rib, I assume.
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
This thing would have killed any normal guy.
Yeah, which is funny because that's kind of the breaking of his character too.
Yeah,
because he was at this point he was kind of one of the guys left. You're like, oh, maybe he'll do something kind of interesting.
He's kind of like a normal looking dude. He's not super buff like everybody else, but he's more of a tactical guy. And
Mm.
then he just breaks. He's like, I can make it. I just gotta go. Like, we just gotta go. And he loses the whole like macho. We keep saying that, but that's really the theme of it.
Are we forgetting a death? Wasn't
No.
there another white dude that dies?
No,
No, we got Hawkins.
No, yeah.
Hawkins, Blaine, and then
Oh, you're right. And then it's
Poncho
Mac.
gets hit, and then Mac.
Yeah, so then Mac chases off in the woods, which I thought was like so stereotypical because at this point they're like, oh, everyone get to the chopper, right? And they all start running, and then it's just like the two black dudes go off, and you're
Right.
like, really? Like,
But there's like some actual story instead of it, because Mac is at this point he's blinded by
Right.
he needs this revenge for his
Vengeance.
best friend.
yeah,
Right.
he does.
He needs this. That's his only. That's the only thing he's got now, because his friend would hate him. He assumes if he didn't get him, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And Carl Weathers this whole time has been hated by everybody, and he tricked his only friend on the team into doing this mission, and now people are dying. So he actually has to step up to the plate and do something. That, And it transcends the black
Stereo.
guys are running into the forest by themselves,
Right.
and it really there's reason, and
It
you actually
does.
believe it, and you care.
Yeah, you do.
You start to care for Carl Weathers' character when the whole time you're just like, you're just an idiot and you're stupid, but now you're kind of understanding why he's changing, because he feels bad.
I didn't really like that decision by Carl Weathers. I felt like
To
he's
change
he's
or
well, he's
to-
been the company man the whole time, and his whole mission is to get that lady back to the chopper because they have the debrief and everything.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like he would still do that, and maybe if he did the change, it would be him. You know, you have Arnold telling them to get to the chopper, and then Carl Weathers and the lady go off, and then you have Arnold, and then Carl Weathers decides to go back for Arnold. That kind of a thing.
maybe.
I
but
think that would have been a better spot than the guy that's been threatening to bleed him dry the whole movie. I don't know.
I don't know. I can see that because there is a
I
real
can see it
reason.
both ways.
There's a
Right.
real reason for Mac. Absolutely.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
See, I feel like when Carl Weathers tries to run off and find Mac, I feel like he's just trying to redeem his character.
Oh, he
Sure.
is. He's
Like
absolutely
he's
is.
totally trying to redeem his
well,
character
he tricked all these people to go here, and now they're all dying.
right, they're all dying. You can tell that Arnold or Dutch doesn't like him anymore,
No.
and just absolutely hates his guts, and wishes he would step up to the plate. He can't even watch a woman,
She
the
punched
girl
him,
either.
like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
Right.
And on top of that, you can tell. I guess if we're gonna go with how they did it, I guess technically Arnold does gain a little bit more respect for him because he's like, you know what? He's like, you obviously. Like,
Sure.
Arnold's like, you clearly can't win. Like he points out the obvious, like you're not gonna beat it, and he's like, well, maybe I can get even, or something. And he gives him both guns, and then the foreshadowing from the dual wielding is interesting because then when you see, you know, obviously Mac dies. I didn't actually like Mac's death. I thought. It
He
would
was-
have been.
It was too easy.
It
Yeah,
was.
it
He's
was-
just crawling, right? And he looks up and he's like, oh no. Like, you know, and he
Right.
turns around and he's just like accepted his fate. I feel like Mac at that point was a bit more.
He should have like had grenades on his chest and then like pulled the pins or something to
Right, or
explode or
something.
something.
Well, he
Something.
was- I kind of
Like the predator holds him up and then he pulls the pins. And,
Yeah.
He was kind of reckless at this point though, because he's like, he sees it and he knows he can get it.
He is,
So he
but
kind
his,
of loses all.
But
of
he
his
has that
character
calm.
throughout the rest of the movie before this is
Right.
reckless and violent, and now he's reckless and silent.
Well, but you have Carl Weathers and him hiding in the bush, and they make a plan. You know, you go this way, I'll go this way, and like that whole scene there, because Carl Weathers is looking for the guy that's been like yelling and everything, and he gets in the bush, and you have the Mac, and he's all silent, and he's like, I can see him through the trees.
No,
And
that was.
they're all calm and everything, and then Mac's like, okay, well, we got to do this, and they form that plan, and it still fails, but
Right.
at that point he's at kind of like total calm because this is the job, this is what I've been trained to do, this is what we're gonna do,
Yeah. I can see
and
that.
we've been trained with that machismo,
Yeah.
and it still fails him.
Like, I think, to me anyway, this is just my opinion.
How dare you have an opinion?
God, sorry. Gosh.
Opinion shame.
I'll leave now. But I
Clip, clop.
like, I feel like at Mac's death, to me, it came off as he was starting to be overconfident that he was going to get back at the Predator.
Yeah, well, that leads to the being reckless. Like, oh, I got him. I
Like-
see him. I can get him. We're gonna go get him.
Right, exactly.
I'm gonna get my revenge.
From that point to his death, I was like, okay, he's lost. One, he's lost it, as we all have stated before. But he got like, oh, I'm really gonna get back at this. Like, I'm gonna get it. I'm going to kill it. This is gonna be my kill. And when he dies, it's like, yeah, you were a little
were
too.
close.
You were close, but you were way overconfident.
You needed to hang back and get Billy and get Dutch, and you
Right.
actually had to really, as a team.
Right.
Plus, we needed to get to the third act where it's just him and the Predator alone.
Oh,
Yeah.
it totally.
Oh, for
And-
sure.
And then
Well,
Carl
because
Weathers.
Yeah, right. Because Carl Weathers makes that decision to go to his death, essentially,
Well,
where
'cause
Mac
he
is already
sees
at
it
his
and just-
death.
and
Right.
His
And-
idiocy comes back.
Right.
And he just starts shooting.
And then you have Schwarzenegger that tells the lady get to the chopper where she doesn't know where the chopper is, but she still finds the chopper.
Well, I think
Yes.
that they had a map or something.
Yeah,
because
but
it was a valley because they asked Billy how to get there.
still, like I don't know if
She
she
knows
would.
the land if she's from there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's a movie.
I can see.
Right, it's
I
a
would-
movie.
that part I would just let go.
She's out of the picture at that point because she's not going to do anything against the Predator anyway.
No.
Right.
And then right before she leaves, so we get Carl Weathers' crazy death of the Predator shooting his arm off as he's still firing the gun
Right.
with his.
The muscle just like twitching
Yeah.
still somehow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, no, that works because back in the day when they were still beheading people there in France, there was this guy that said, "Hey, I'm gonna, I'm gonna die. So count the number of times I blink." So he would blink
So you know how long
as
actually
as the blade was going down, and it would continue to blink for like a minute or so.
Wow.
and it
yeah.
shows like how sentient you are after your head's
Nerves
cut
and
off.
everything, yeah.
Like if
So
you're really
the whole
alive still or not.
the whole twitching of the trigger finger would actually.
And
Yeah, it makes sense.
Plus, it could be adrenaline too, because you're probably not.
Oh,
gonna,
yeah, well,
Well, one, you're gonna feel it obviously, but then adrenaline's gonna kick in. You're like,
And then he gets skewered by the blade.
oh,
What I wanted to have happened was Carl Weathers picks up his hand while it's still firing with his other hand and just point it at the Predator. No, that would have been total.
That would have been terrible.
Yeah, that
actually.
would've been
But
terrible.
But it's cool because it foreshadows the whole
Right.
the reason he has two pistols. Because up until this point, you're just like, okay, you're just really overcompensating. Not overcompensating, but you're like really
Overprepared. or-
Yeah, like you got two guns, and they're both guns that you really probably should hold with two hands if you want a steady aim. But you're just gonna run in there and just like shoot all
Yeah.
over the place, and you're like, okay,
Right.
you're really not prepared. You
Well,
think
because honestly, if you go back to Dutch without Mac, then you're probably gonna die anyway.
No, that's true. Yeah.
On your way back, you're gonna.
Right.
So he gets skewered in
Yep.
one of the craziest yells in the movie.
That is a
Not
pretty
the
insane.
craziest death scream,
No.
Right.
but
No, it's up there though. Yeah.
so then we get back to the girl and Dutch and Poncho, and they're carrying him to the chopper
And Billy.
and Billy. But Billy has gone ahead to track or something.
Yeah.
He's not really right there. But then the Predator just is there and shoots Poncho right in the head, and his brain comes out. Gross.
Kind of, yeah.
And he just
I mean,
they just let him like
Now
they
that's
totally forget about him.
that's after Billy's death.
No, that's before.
No, it's not.
I think that's the
Poncho
weakest
dies.
death, by the way, is Billy.
Poncho's?
No,
Oh,
Billy.
Oh yeah.
You don't see it happen. I wanted like a standoff at the tree bridge there.
Yeah, no, because you get Carl Weathers
Oh, yeah.
scream, and
And
then
then
they're
they're
crossing the trunk.
Right.
Yes, and
He
then
goes
Billy
all
stays
Gandalf.
behind, and then he yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Billy's death is just like totally cheap. It's like they ran out of money. To do a
It
cool
should have been
death.
like, okay, we're gonna have the Predator in camo coming at the tree, and Billy can see him, and then like the wrist blades come out because Billy has his big old hunting knife. That would have been like, that's
would've
not a
been.
knife. This is a knife.
But
Shink.
it adds to his pride.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna go out, I'm not gonna be scared of it. I'm
Right.
gonna stand up to my fears, and I'm gonna.
Right.
And we don't have to see it. It would have been fine.
No.
But it.
But it's an action film.
It cements his place as one of the best characters because
He
that
might not have died.
That's facts.
Maybe he jumped into the
well,
river.
No, you definitely see him get his spine ripped out later.
It could have been anybody's.
No, it shows his face. And the Predator kicks him off a tree, and he falls.
Not sure it
300
shows
feet.
like all of his face. It's very relative.
It's
It
just
could be
It could have
anybody.
been a gorilla fighter he picked up.
Right. Exactly.
And
Right.
behind
Could have
the
been a
scenes
parajumper that
tidbit,
parachute in the wrong location.
the actor who played Billy was notoriously horrible to work with.
Oh, okay.
Horrible. So they
I mean, if
might
I
have
had
just
an
not done a
off-screen
fight
death-
scene just to make it easier on the.
If I had an
Going
off-screen death, that would be hard to work
True.
with too.
That's fair. So yeah, then we get this, and then they're running through the forest, and then the
Arnold gets shot.
Arnold.
How
well,
does he
Poncho-
survive, by the way?
Well,
I
if you
don't-
look
I
at his
think
arm, it
grazed
just
him.
grazes him.
No, it goes like full like.
I mean, the after one.
This is the thing that takes people's heads off, and it doesn't take an arm off.
apparently not.
Well,
it
it-
just
it-
grazes.
Plot armor. That's what it is.
Yeah,
Plot
it
armor.
is.
It just
Now, they
it
might-
just took off Carl Weathers' arm.
Right. Well, it could be that the fact that it needed time to recharge, and that would be the official
Reason, yeah.
horrible screenwriter. But it's mainly because you want Arnold to be at the end with him fighting. I mean, that's the whole reason.
Or maybe we missed something and it bounced off the gun, or
No,
something.
it went straight into his chest area.
But anyway,
It-
he gets
it
shrapnel
gets
in his
pl-
arm, and
It's
he's
played off as his arm. Yeah.
yeah,
So
and he is
then we get the classic.
get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper. They run. She runs in. He runs away. Jumps in the river, and then he finds out the mud conceals him, and then you get the skunk or whatever thing is in the
Yeah.
trunk.
Yeah,
That runs away.
that's why predators never hunt in saunas and spas because they all have mud baths.
Yes, exactly.
I had to say, when Arnold jumps in the river, I was about ready to say, like while we were watching, it's like, that's gotta suck. One, you jump into a river, then you go down a waterfall.
It's true.
I mean,
All the while knowing that this thing is still probably.
After-
it's
hunting
probably after you, and if you're screwed.
I loved when he's when he's like laying on the beach, and all of a sudden you just hear the water,
The
behind him,
splash.
just like, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh crap.
And you can just tell in his head, he's like, "Are you
crap.
serious?"
Yeah.
well,
Well,
and
you
on
can
top
tell
of
in
that,
his
he knows
face
he's
too when
dead.
he's hiding. You can
Yeah.
just see the
He's
blatant
terrified.
terror in his
It's almost
eyes.
acceptance, though. Like he's like, okay, I'm gonna die. I don't care. The girl hopefully got away. That's all I care about.
Yeah,
And-
and he's like, all his friends are gone too. So he's like, "What do I really
Right.
got?"
And on top of that, you get that combined with the fact that he just like pulls himself up and kind of just like does like the whole like crucifixion stance almost, where he just kind of holds his arms out to the side. And he just kind of like closes
And he's
his
not
eyes.
breathing.
Well,
either.
he's
He
holding
holds
on.
his
He's
breath.
holding onto the vines around him too.
Right, but it like
Right.
totally sets his body
Sure.
up for vulnerability, right? He's got
Right.
no defense here in his centralized area. He's just totally laid out flat.
Right,
And the guy just
prone
walks
for
past
all
him.
to see.
So he learns the mud thing. Then we get the classic montage scene where
He's
he
sharpening wood spikes. He's
Yep.
setting up trip wires. He's
Making
pulling trees
Ewok
down by
traps.
himself now.
Yeah, he's macho, actually macho, pulling tree trunks up by himself.
And that's probably just the adrenaline and the all my friends are dead. I gotta do this.
Oh, honestly, I just attribute it to his muscles. I had
Right.
no issue with that.
Yeah.
It's part of
Yeah.
the.
Right.
And so then we get the fight scene, which I thought it was hilarious how he just yells and the creature's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
but then you get the fire too, and the fire draws him and all that. I loved the tension that was built when he's like on the tree waiting, and the thing starts coming behind him,
Right.
and he has like no clue. The predator's just like crawling down the tree behind him, and he's
Yeah.
just like,
And he's
what
like, kill me
do I
now,
do?
do it, kill me.
No, that's
No,
later
no.
on.
That's
He's
not-
talking about the initial part where he's like the predator's crawling like a creature. Like
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and he's
Out of
like
the tree.
against the tree trunk.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and he's
okay.
like freaking
Yeah.
out. And he's like, oh my gosh.
Right.
And there's some great tension in those scenes, even when he's like on the vine and he swings across.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh, he's gonna get seen, and then he starts shooting, and he gets like so close to him, but I'm like,
Well, he fires the bow and arrow, which explodes the thing.
so he probably knows the trajectory. I can
Right.
understand that,
Right.
But he gets really close to him for like no reason, and it's not like he would just shoot there for any reason. I would think,
Sure.
unless you
The-
get the
the-
trajectory thing.
The predator.
Well, because he falls out of the tree because the predator fires pretty. The predator kind of reenacts the whole scene with the macho guys at the start of it, where they're just firing blatantly into the area where they're at.
Are you talking
So
about
then
when
that
he threw
kind
the
of
rock?
switches the predator prey relationship at that
Oh,
point.
no, not when he throws the rock.
Because when he threw the rock, the predator shoots that where the rock was,
Mm.
and then uses. What I got was it was like in the Batman Arkham games, you can like recreate an entire scene of what happened here. You can like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he used the trajectory on his screen to move to where the rock would have originally come from, and that's where he shoots.
Oh, okay.
So that's
Okay,
how
see what
I
you're
think
saying
he
now.
knew. Like, well, because there's no way the predator doesn't have like some tech to fix that.
That's true.
You know,
that's
like,
fair.
to figure that out.
And then we get, he kind of somewhat holds his own against the predator.
Well, he's getting beat up. He's
Well,
taking
no. I'm
punch
talking
after
about where
punch.
I'm still at where he shoots the bow and arrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're at the bow and arrow scene, and he, jumps down, and he gets knocked down, and then he you get the idea that he's got the upper hand now because there's like this blood trail and all this, and then it turns out it was just the predator kind of like laying this trap, and he gets out of the trap, and you're like, oh, he survives, and then he falls in the water, and your mind immediately is like, oh no, the mud, like
It's gone.
oh
Right.
no, the mud that was concealing him is gone, and
He comes out of the water, and the predator just puts a talon knife thing into the tree trunk right next to him, right around his head. And in that moment, Arnold thinks he's dead. Like, there's nothing left for him until it's stupid on the predator's part, but definitely in character for the species is the pride of the kill, and they fight one-on-one. No tech, no guns, no weapons, really. Nothing.
Well, they got the wrist blades, and Arnold's got a stick initially.
yeah, he definitely still has the upper hand.
Oh,
Like it's
yes.
not like I mean,
Right.
yeah, he gives him a bit of a chance because he's
he
like,
takes
okay,
off the rocket launcher on his side, or the plasma.
Right. Plasma cannon,
Yeah, and he takes off his
the mask
his-
with the heat
yeah,
vision.
and his wrist scouter thing.
which
Right.
honestly kind of helps Arnold, but not really because his vision's not. I mean, it's terrible, but
Right.
it's not that bad. Like, he can still make out Arnold
Right.
and stuff.
And he still destroys him with those punches.
Oh yeah, yeah, and
You felt those sitting
Oh,
there.
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. But then you get that whole like, okay, maybe Arnold now someone has a chance, and he just doesn't. Just gets absolutely wrecked. Crawls back to this trap that we watched from the montage, and I'm like, oh, he's actually gonna fall for it. Like, I did not expect this. And of course, he grabs the stick as he's walking down, and he's like, wait, what?
And he looks
And-
at him. He's like, "Oh, I see what you're doing here." And Arnold's just like, "Kill me! I'm right here. Do it! Do it!
Do it now!
Kill me!"
Do it now!
Yeah.
me!
Yeah, and then you get him walking around. You're like, I'm like, oh wow, like he's actually gonna
Predator's
die.
really, really
I
smart.
had totally forgotten about the tree trunk. Totally forgotten about it.
Right.
And they did a great job of drawing the attention away.
Well, and you
From
think
that.
originally that Arnold's begging him to come in so the tree trunk hits him there, but it's reverse psychology of him
I honestly
him-
wasn't even
him
thinking
figuring
that.
out, oh, there's some stabby things. I'm gonna go around, and then you put it there.
Well, no, I thought that the trap originally was for the spikes to drop down right there and like impale him. Like I honestly thought that's what it was.
That might have been like a backup plan maybe, if he actually did it.
Right,
You probably had two different options.
right.
But,
But then
when the predator comes around on the other side of that little, I guess, cave thing. It's not really a
it's like
cave.
a trench.
Yeah, it's like a
Right,
trench
yeah.
thing.
And
Yeah.
when he comes around, Arnold gives that knowing look to the camera in the line of sight to the predator. not to us.
vista, baby.
And he kicks that stick, and the tree trunk falls right on the predator.
And I wasn't actually expecting it to kill him. and then when it did actually kind of be the end of him,
It
then,
mortally wounded him.
yeah, enough to where he was dead and there was no stopping it. But I was intrigued by this part because I was like, oh, like Arnold's gonna try, like he's gonna have to do one more thing to kill him, right? Like that drug out fight scene, and he just dies. But he doesn't. I mean, I guess he commits suicide more than anything.
Well, yeah, in the
But
lore, the predators commit suicide rather than
they would
let the
rather-
species kill them, because it's kind of like harikari or seppuku or whatever that is. where
oh,
it's-
right. rather than
Well,
lose.
plus, on a technical level, you wouldn't want an advanced species like the predators to let
that's also
lower species get a hold of their tech.
right,
part
that's
of
true.
it.
Right.
Part of it, yeah.
That's true.
And it's pride.
It is.
And so, as we've seen throughout the movie, the Predator can mimic voices.
Yeah.
So I think it's chilling when you hear Billy's laugh come out of this creature while it's exploding.
It is
chilling.
creepy. It is creepy. It didn't give me like goosebumps, but I mean, thinking about it now, it's definitely a creepy aspect of the movie. But and then it
And
just
that
kind of
laugh-
ends.
Yeah.
It's just like the
It just
guy,
explodes,
the general randomly
yeah.
shows up. The girl's alive, which I figured she was
On the
gonna
helicopter.
survive. Right, the helicopter picked her up. They're looking for him. The only reason they see him is because of this like mushroom cloud that the guy, the predator, creates, and
Right.
And
then it
the
ends
explosion.
with the
He's
pretty
covered in
solid.
soot and ash.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he's got the wounds.
Yeah.
I mean, he got completely beat the crap out.
Right.
Of him. But I mean, I that's the plot. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. Like I said, it's a 7 out of 10.
It's a very simplistic plot, but I think they execute it fairly well.
They do. They do.
It really holds up too when you're looking at it now, because I think the film was in 87 or 89 or something like that. So I mean, it does stand up fairly well with the CGI and whatnot and all the special effects.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you look at the Predator itself, when he takes off the mask, the robotics and the animatronics with it were really great.
Yeah.
Well,
Honestly, the camouflage was cheesy, but it worked.
Yeah,
It's great that it
it's
came
stuff.
out-
It's workable. Yeah.
It's great that it came out as good as it did because they had to change it from the ant suit creature with Jean-Claude Van Damme in the suit to change it to whenever they decided that looks stupid, and it does look stupid, the original suit.
Yes, the original suit did look dumb, but
And I believe they brought in Stan Winston to do the design for the Predator.
Yeah,
it was
I did see
credited
that
to
in
him
there.
the beginning.
It was
so,
okay then,
yeah.
yes, because he came in, he revitalized that whole thing, and it made it a million times more terrifying than it would have been if it was just like a bug.
Yeah, no. If it would have been a bug, I think the movie would have not held up to what it does now.
So they had to they had already filmed most of it, and they filmed the scenes with Van Damme in the bug suit. So that's why you get the camo, because they had to erase the bug and then put something there.
Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't just film a new scene. So they just had to put and there was a good effect and it worked, and now it's an iconic piece of lore for this creature.
Yeah, the like invisibility in the
Yeah.
jungle. Yeah, no, I think it totally works. I have
And
no.
they saved it in a way that they probably never thought it would have been this good or this fond remembered this long after the movie.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And for action movies of the time, you care about these characters a lot more than you care about Arnold's daughter in Commando. You don't really.
Hey, be careful.
I mean, I wouldn't say like all of the characters I cared about, but the characters that I didn't care about was because I wasn't supposed to care about them. So
Yeah.
I guess it does.
like
it does a good
Hawkins.
job.
Yeah.
Now the newcomers gave their review, but does this make your guys' top 10 movie list?
No.
No.
It does make my top 10. It's my number one action movie.
So does it make the top 10 movie list of all time?
Nope.
If not, where does it
I
fall?
don't
Top
know.
20, top 30?
Low hundreds maybe.
Really?
I've seen so many films, and it's like one of those where I like watching Predator. I'm not going to specifically say, hey, if somebody says, hey, what action movie do you want? I'm not going to specifically point to Predator.
Okay.
It's my favorite Arnold movie, and it's my favorite action movie
Ooh.
outside of like adventure type stuff. Because my favorite movie is Last Crusade, Indiana Jones, and you could say that that's an action movie, but it's more of an adventure.
Yeah.
I would put it more in an adventure movie,
Okay.
but in the traditional action sense, this is my favorite action movie.
So does it make the
Definitely my top
10?
15.
Okay.
Most of my top 10 are movies that I just watched as a kid and have childhood fondness for. This one I saw probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it changed something in me. I realized like this really set my love for film and wanting to create and actually do something in the industry, and kind of working on it now with some ideas that we're working on for other films.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so okay. Makes the top 15. Jim's just
Low hundreds.
low hundreds.
He likes it.
If it's on, I might watch it. If it's not on, I probably wouldn't actively choose it.
Okay.
You'd choose Predator 2 to Predator 1. You would.
I would choose Predator 2, then I would choose Prey, and then Predator.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I like
Interesting.
the new one better. I always what I liked about Predator is the lore behind the Predators themselves, and I think in number 2 they amped that up a lot.
They really build that in, especially
And they
with the
kind of did a
alien.
little bit of it in Prey a little bit more. They did more than, regular Predators. Now, regular Predators, it was just setting it up and, creating the franchise and all that. So that's good. So I'm not,
It's
knocking
a great starter film for.
Right, I'm not
Yeah.
knocking because they didn't explain why the monster was there. I mean, they didn't have to.
Well, and
Now, I think I might make this bold statement. You guys tell me if this is true. I can see this movie setting the tone for action movies, like Star Wars set the tone for sci-fi movies.
Yes and no. I mean,
Kind of.
Aliens just came out the year before this one came out. So, I mean, you had that, and then you had Predator. So you
Okay.
have that whole kind of
See, but I don't consider Aliens an action movie. I would consider this more of an
Aliens
action.
is. Alien is not.
Yeah, Alien is
Alien.
not Aliens. That's where you have. It's kind of like the Predator a little bit. You have like the Marines,
commandos go in.
and you have the company man with the Marines,
Okay.
and then you have like
It's very similar.
right,
But it's a
right. But
You
it's
watch
it's
one,
your
you watch
basic,
the other,
yeah.
right,
But
okay.
it's a
Then you have the main character facing off against the main bad guy at the end.
Okay.
it's definitely set like some tropes for the final guy in action movies.
Get to the hoverpod. And
until,
Sigourney Weaver.
Until Die Hard came out, directed by the same guy, John
Same guy.
McTiernan.
Right.
And that changed action movies forever. Everything is Die Hard but this. Die Hard but this. But before that, it was
Even
Arnold
in
goes in and he's the military guy, or he's the buff guy, or he's the Terminator. Like,
Right.
even in Violent Night, you have
Yeah,
it's
it's
Die Hard but Christmas.
Okay. So Die Hard really probably defined the genre, not.
for the modern era.
It's like with Indiana Jones, Die Hard, but historical stuff.
That's fact.
Die Hard with Nazis.
There you go.
I do have another tidbit back to the part when the Predator was healing itself with its med
Heal
kit.
thine self,
Yeah,
Predator.
which was an interesting.
It gave it a little bit more of a human.
Yeah, with
like,
the
you kind of-
scream.
And like just having like actual like medicine. He's not invincible, as
If
Arnold
it
says.
bleeds, you can kill it.
Yeah. So that really
That's why I
makes
never
it
bleed.
gives it a human relevant, because you're at that point then you think Arnold can kill this thing,
Yeah. Oh, it definitely sets up a vulnerability more than anything.
and it's special that Arnold it doesn't kill it. Usually in the action movie the hero kills it. In this one it does itself.
yeah.
So
Okay.
it kind of throws a wrench in that
I see that.
whole spectrum.
For the
but-
most part, I see that. Yeah.
But who is your favorite military man in this movie that's not Arnold?
It's
That's-
Billy.
Billy?
Dutch.
That's not Arnold.
It's not Arnold. It's Dutch.
Kenny, what do you think?
Whenever
Billy.
somebody,
Billy? Yeah,
when everybody
I like
says, "Hey,
Billy
you want to
too.
go Dutch?" No, because he's the macho man. I like Carl Weathers.
I know you're being serious.
But
I can-
I do.
He's my least favorite.
I like
Hawkins
Carl
more
Weathers.
than him.
Okay, no.
You know
let's
what,
not
though?
Get crazy.
I like Hawkins' jokes.
No, they're so stupid. They're just so stupid. They're so stereotypical military.
But
like,
that also leads into how I am as a human in my own life. I do make stupid jokes all the time.
He
well, in that case,
stuck to
that
his
should be Jim's
belief.
favorite character.
Carl
Yeah,
Weathers,
that really
his
should.
character stuck with his belief that there was 2 or 3 men in the forest, and he stuck with that to the bitter end. You know,
I mean, until he saw the.
and
Thing and got
he
his arm
has
chopped.
determination. Okay, he can get his arm chopped off, and he still shoots the gun.
It may
I
not
mean,
hit
what other
anything.
guy can do that?
It may not hit anything, but
Right.
his arm did
His
not give
character
up.
can weather everything.
That's why they call him Carl Weathers.
Yes.
And on that note, does anyone have any final comments?
Love the movie. Watch it.
Remember, if you can bleed, you can kill it. So don't bleed, America.
Bleeding is our weakness.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
You got nothing.
Nothing.
Don't be the planet, I'll be the prey.
In the words, of
Get to the
great-
chopper.
In the words of the great Jim Master from last episode.
Yes, that's
Stay
me.
caffeinated, people. We'll
Yes.
See you next time.
See ya.
Hey everyone, we hope you enjoyed the episode today. If you did, you should go check out the rest of our episodes on our website at ccflugnutspodcast.com.
You can also listen to us wherever you find your podcasts.
Follow us on our Facebook and Instagram pages by searching the Lugnuts Podcast Group.
Thanks for listening, and remember, Jesus loves you, and so do we.